Okay, so Spartan Fist joins the eShop, and I gotta say this one, it has a pretty unique formula. A procedurally generated first-person roguelite, which switches out weapons for fists only. But can this bloody roguelite, where enemies literally explode at the end of your fists, do enough to earn its spot on your Switch library? Well, hit subscribe if you love the Switch as much as we do, hit that like button, leave me a comment below with your thoughts on this one, and with that, let's get started. So story-wise, well, here's what the eShop page says at least. Players Emma Jones, a down-and-out detective working to earn her keep. And by working, I mean punching enemies so hard they explode. Here's the idea, you're fighting your way to fame, fortune and glory in this first-person roguelite, and what an amazing story that sounds. I mean, cool sounding on paper for sure, but it never translates to the game, sadly. Outside of the odd interaction with a text box, here and there, there's very little here giving you any sort of purpose or direction. And I gotta say, that's a shame, because that little bit of story from the eShop just sounds nuts and fucking great to me. If ever there's a story I wanted to explore, I wanted to know, it's how a detective ends up in arena-based combat while having the ability to punch people so hard they explode. This story should be developed. Sadly though, as it stands, there's nothing here to dive into this world, these characters, and that, for sure, is a missed opportunity. So I'm going to be direct with this. What sounds like a great idea, swinging your fists at enemies again until they explode, and I'm going to keep on saying that through this entire video. I mean, come on, who doesn't like the sound of that? Quickly, sadly, deteriorates into a boring and repetitive gameplay loop. Moving from one small arena to the next over and over again, the game, it just lacked any real sense of progression or growth. Yeah, you can pick up different fists here and there, with abilities, but even then it didn't do enough to keep me entertained for more than a few extra minutes. They just didn't really bring actually anything to the table. This actually though overall comes down to a number of issues, and the big one's repetitive arenas. Yes, the colours, they change occasionally, but there's very little that's new and exciting, more just like the same objects rearranged and repeated over and over again. The combat then, it's okay, but it's extremely basic in its input and slow to use. Winning a battle against an enemy, it feels more like luck of smashing that punch button quick enough rather than a skill-based system. Yes, the overall controls, they are okay as well, the movement's fine, the dash mechanic, fine, but one really painful part as well, the jump mechanic. You'll need to traverse ledges and get up to enemies, and they're just kind of like horrible and floaty, and I just found it really hard to aim on what I needed to land onto. Spartan Fist, though, I'll give it this, it tries to mix things up. It brings more to the combat using, different fists and combat styles. The fist pickups, as I said, they made very little difference from what I could tell. Fun for a few moments, but that was kind of about it. And then you do get the choice of 3 different combat styles that you can freely switch between. We've got Brawler, Duelist and Updraft. These are essentially scenario-based combat types, so say Duelist for one-on-one with a heavy, or Updraft for larger groups. The idea is you master these to progress against increasingly challenging waves, but they never really pay off. They're never really needed. I never really noticed too much of a difference, to be honest, outside of like a few animations. Yeah, there might have been some slight damage differences, but it was never big enough to warrant me becoming like this expert in switching between them. The main real use, in fact, for these, it's because enemies can put up a shield, blocking all of your attacks. To break this, you change combat style and punch from there. It's a simple but effective implementation, I'm going to give it that much. Outside of this then, the only real other element to mention is enemies. They come in a few varying sizes, and they do one of 2 things, charge at you or run away from you. They're fun to look at though, and they for sure hold their own in combat and their AI. There's also progressively tougher traps in the arenas that go alongside them, and they're always smart enough to keep out the way of these. But yeah, think like fire coming up from the floor to mount you. Overall though, with Spartan Fist, at a push you're going to get maybe an hour to 90 minutes out of it to beat all 4 of its arenas, and yeah, that's it. It's short, you should get some fun out of the gameplay, but be prepared for some serious shortcomings and some serious repetition. So graphically, Spartan Fist I love. I didn't expect to like it, but the moment it all started moving together, I was sold. Minecraft meets exploding bloody body parts is quite the combination, but damn is it entertaining. Enemy design then solid, there's great animation work too, whether that's, you know, them attacking you or running away in fear. The traps, they look great as the fire comes up from the floor, and all the menus, the text boxes, it never once breaks character, it never once breaks the theme. The only real issue, it was mentioned in gameplay, arenas are repetitive, and this in large part is down to the graphics. They look good, don't get me wrong stylistically, but it's just the same thing over and over again. You'll be impressed at first, but before long, you're going to realise that every environment you're coming across is basically the same. You've already seen everything. Yes, 4 different arenas, but they never go anywhere, and that's not a good feeling when you're going to be playing them over and over again. So probably the best part of this entire package, the sound and music, it is stellar. Attacks, enemies, objects, they all have their own kind of like unique and fun sounds that match the cute nature of this one, but also I will say that they don't forget all the, you know, the blood and guts. For every cute sound of the fear of an enemy running away, there's an accompanying explosion and squelch of body parts. It's a weird combo that surprisingly just works so well. Then music, this soundtrack, it sounds like you've just taken a sugar induction, downed a couple of cans of Monster, and you're just waiting for that caffeine to kick in. A punk chip tune with high energy matches the explosion of colour on screen perfectly. So the final verdict on Spartan Fist, on initial inspection, I think you'll be curious. Bright colours, cute visuals, fist flying, and blood everywhere. It's hard initially not to be interested. Sadly though, you know, 30 minutes in and you've basically seen everything, and you'll also see a whole lot of problems. Controls that are loose, mechanics that are repetitive, gameplay that's more luck based than skill based, and then arenas that just seem to be delivering the same thing over and over again without really putting anything new in your way. For a game that was over in 90 minutes, it's actually surprising and amazing how repetitive this one becomes. It has potential, but they seriously need to work on just mixing things up. More traps, more locations, more gameplay impacting pickups, maybe even a few more enemy designs. This is a true example of a game where you can see its full potential, but then you can also see all the misses it's made and how easy it would be to just improve it. Now also at a relatively high price tag of $15, £11 in the UK or €12, I cannot recommend this one for anyone but those die-hard, you know, roguelite fans out there. There's just way too many other great games to go spend your money on, especially at this price tag. Today I'm giving Spartan Fist a below average 4 out of 10. I wish it was better. I was excited for this one, but yeah, 60 to 90 minutes experience for $15, it's just way too much. Thanks so much for watching. If you love the Switch as much as we do, hit that subscribe button, like the video if you agree with us, and in the comments, what's your favourite roguelite of all time? I'll see you all on the next video.